What are government drivers promoting moral change in companies? Governments also play a highly important part by creating frames for moral action of the company. Most important here is formal legislation. Such legislation may refer, for instance, to regulation of working times, time off, conditions security of working place, its protection, conditions under which the work contract may be released, and maternal leave. One of the interesting and relatively new challenges is equal pay for men and women. Till the middle of the 20th century, in many developed countries, women were paid less than half of men's wage, and sometimes nothing. In Germany, women needed the permission of their husband to work till 1970s. There are interesting stories of famous women scientists who obtained the Nobel Prize, who weren't paid at all for their work at universities or research institutions. Thanks to many initiatives, among them Me Too, there's also much progress in avoiding sexual harassment and mobbing. Women who worked in very underprivileged working positions were paid less and were less protected for a long time, were being sexually abused or harassed. If you watch movies from the end of the 20th century, in the scene set of bars, the waitress often sexualized, touched in intimate places, and reduced to a sex object, perhaps as accessories to a potent car. Even though most managerial positions are given to males, there's a call for greater parity in promotion of staff. Another issue is, of course, the different salaries, treatment of colored people. That still is a challenge. Nowadays, LGBT plus organizations draw attention to the unfairness in the treatment of people with one of LGBT orientations. Moreover, some religions are still not respected, as in preventing Muslim women from covering their head or face, which nowadays we all do, wearing masks because of the COVID pandemic. In addition, a great challenge has to be met when it comes to people with disabilities or an unusual appearance due to cases such as illness or an accident. Some of the laws aren't constructed in such a way as to ensure compliance. Without consequences, controls, and protection of the workers, some laws are really not existent in practice. There are also some regulatory bodies which can give some certificates to the company. Just to mention, since these bodies are often voluntary, in the sense that the company may or may not gain a certain certificate, or at least independent and profit-oriented, many real crimes like wage theft, slavery, unsafe working conditions, sexual abusing, children work may remain undiscovered. There are also work organizations like, for instance, the World Health Organization, which has had a delayed impact, for instance, in the sale of tobacco. If you now want to smoke, you have to see horrible pictures on the package of your cigarettes, which should demotivate you from smoking. And the company is paying this price for being moral, and this pressure affects the moral behavior of the company. Among important world organizations, there is ILO, International Labour Organization, which not only makes one aware of risks on the labor market, risks, unemployment, modern slavery, but suggests solutions to overcome these situations, proposals of law, conventions, etc. There are also international organizations like the World Trade Union. The real challenges for these world organizations are changing policies within the countries which are environment and institutional factors which may provoke the company to behave unethically. It can be, for instance, deregulation and liberalization of the market which led to the growth of financial capital and provoke destabilization of the labor market, resulting in excessive risks, unemployment, and lower wages comparing to profits. Globalization, facilitation of the movement of labor and capital, which allowed the companies to build the supply chains. International competition, putting many companies under the challenge of lowering costs. Since capital costs are well protected legally, the cuts affect more vulnerable labor costs. These processes were very visible in the US and were described in many books and papers. You may wish to explore this further in the book Macroeconomic Inequality from Reagan to Trump by Lance Taylor and Özlem Ömer. These problems evoke in people a critical interest in these systemic issues, systemic factors which are creating such insane situations for companies, and they are partially responsible for the unethical behavior of the company. If they are good ones, and maybe we have to create a different environment and other institutions which could help the company to behave more rationally, and I mean in this sense also ethically.